everyone, my name's Lucy and I live here in the USA, in Arizona to be exact, and this is my apartment.
Hello everybody, my name's John and this is Norfolk, England. I'm going to show you around my apartment and by the way, I'm Lucy's dad.
Hello everybody, I'm Lucy's mum, Brit girl Julie, and I'm here helping Lucy's dad film his apartment.
Today we'll be comparing our homes, but first, some obvious differences. My apartment has one bedroom and one bathroom.
And my apartment has 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms.
Each home has an open plan living area and a little outdoor space.
And my apartment has a hallway.
You'll notice that I'm calling this an apartment. In the USA, an apartment is something that is rented. If this is something that I owned, it would be referred to as a condo or condominium.
And I'm also calling my home an apartment, but in the UK an apartment is something that you can own.
Mine is on the ground floor, or the first floor if you're speaking American English.
And mine is on the top floor, it's actually an addition to the original building. This is my front door, which leads down the corridor and then down 5 floors to the entrance.
Cut! This is my front door. It actually has a keypad to lock and unlock it, which isn't something you see all that commonly in the US. I think it's just my apartment complex trying to be posh. And no letterbox like you might expect in the UK. We actually get our mail at a cluster box by the front of the apartment.
This is my open plan living and kitchen area.
And this is my open plan living, kitchen and dining. There's actually no furniture in here at the minute because we're in the process of moving out, but we still have the apartment for a little bit longer. The first thing I'd like to show you is how we heat and cool our home. The heating and air conditioning is operated here. We switch it this way to cool down and this way to heat up, and you can set the temperature you want the apartment to be at here. In the UK, 0.5% of homes are air conditioned compared to the USA, where 87% of homes are air conditioned. Most people have their air conditioning either on their roof or in the backyard of their space.
My home is heated by individual independent radiators in each room, which can all be controlled independently. In the summer, it can get very hot in here because all the windows face west and you don't really get much of a through blast. So I'm one of the few people who has an air conditioning unit that I will use in particular summer days.
Let's have a look at the windows. Homes in the USA usually have screens over their windows, and many Americans who live or stay in the UK mention that they miss them very much. Here in Arizona and in other sunny states, the shade provide extra shelter and protection from the heat, but they also stay closed when the window is open, allowing you to ventilate your home without allowing bugs to enter.
Oh, I've got my hand stuck. Do you know, these windows, they're never like this.
I was just filming.
Oh!
Don't drop it.
In the UK, we don't have screens. I've never seen screens anyway. We tend to protect ourselves from the sunlight that we sometimes get with curtains or drapes, as they're called in America, or like this, blinds.
One thing I've heard Brits living in America complain about sometimes is the size of the windowsills. Now, I know that might seem like a very odd thing to complain about, but in the UK they tend to be a lot bigger than this, and you can actually use them maybe as a little bookshelf or as somewhere to display ornaments or other precious things. Obviously these are no good for that.
UK wall plugs all have 3 prongs, just like standard US grounded plugs. The UK plugs may look big and bulky compared to the ones in the USA, but UK design makes it nearly impossible for you to shock yourself accidentally. Half of each prong is coated in insulation, unlike in US plugs, so even if a plug is not fully inserted into a socket, touching the exposed part of prongs can't give you a shock. Sometimes there is a switch as well, which is another safeguard.
In America, some plugs have 3 prongs like that, which look a little bit like the UK design. And some only have 2 prongs, like this. One thing I dislike about the 2-prong design, like this one that's in the plug right now, is they don't tend to stay in very well. So I only have to like give a tiny bit of force. And as you can see, that's attached to my light. And it'll come out. So if you've got like a hairdryer or something that you're moving around, very often you might find it falling out of the plug socket halfway through, which can be a bit frustrating.
So we're in the kitchen now, and this is my fridge, which is plenty big enough for me. Oh, look at that, sweet. Anyone want some celebrations?
Yes, please, says the camera lady.
So the fridge is plenty big enough for me, really. The freezer below it probably could do with being a bit bigger, although it looks a reasonable size. The drawers themselves seem to take up quite a lot of space.
So into the kitchen, this is my fridge. One thing that America is famous for is its huge fridges with ice makers, tablet screens, water dispensers, cameras, all other types of technology. And some families, if they're bigger families, will have 2 or maybe 3 fridges in their home. But this is mine, and it's relatively small in comparison, but more than suitable for us. There's only 2 of us that were living here.
British people tend to shop more often and buy smaller amounts of fresh food. That's because there's less preservatives in things, so you have to eat them quickly, otherwise, like my bananas, they can go off very rapidly.
One thing I've noticed that's quite common in America is to have the microwave actually built in above the cooker, or stove as they call it over here more commonly. And some British homes have these built-in microwaves too, but it seems to be something that's more common over here in America. And they're very often quite a generous size.
This is something that you'll find in every British home, a good old kettle.
Cup of tea, please.
She has to get in on the act.
Of course.
I had to buy an electric kettle almost immediately when I first came out here because of course my American husband didn't have one. It wasn't something that he was used to having in the kitchen. So we do now have an electric kettle, thank goodness, and we also do have a coffee maker, which is something that you'll see very commonly in American homes. This is my sink, again larger than most sinks in the UK. Most sinks in the UK have a larger sink and then a smaller sink rather than 2 sinks of an equal size like this. Most American sinks also have a garbage disposal to eat up any bits of food that go down the drain. They also feature taps with detachable heads, although this sink doesn't. One thing we Brits do, which Americans seem to think is strange and even unhygienic, is keep a bowl in the sink for washing up.
This is where I wash my dishes. Actually, I don't. I put them in here. This is my dishwasher. I think you'd call it half size, but it lasts a few days.
This is my dishwasher. And it's actually the first dishwasher I've ever had in my adult life. Back home, I would just wash my dishes in the sink, so this is a real treat for me.
Another thing that you typically find is a combination washer and dryer under the countertop. The dryer function on these combination machines is pretty terrible. The machines aren't as powerful and they don't vent anywhere like larger dedicated dryers do, so I usually hang up clothes to dry them.
My washer and dryer are kept here, behind these doors, separate from the kitchen. Let's go have a look at that. Nearly everyone has a separate space to do laundry in the USA, and as you can see here, the machines are huge! Machines like this would never fit under the counter like they do in the UK, they're just too big. And I also really like this top loader design, like this, because you can just tip the laundry straight in like that and it is so easy. Now let's move into the one and only bathroom.
Typically a British bathroom would have a pull cord just inside the door, but this one doesn't. It has a switch outside the door, like that.
My bathroom has light switches. These light switches are just the same as every other light switch in the apartment. This one does the normal light. This one does a heat light above the shower, very nice. And that one is the fan. Some of you will have also noticed the plug sockets right next to the sink. In the US, building regulations actually make it a requirement to have a plug socket within 3 meters of the sink or basin.
In the UK, it's illegal to have any plug point in a bathroom within 3 meters of water. The only one that you can have is this, which is for shavers. Very often in the UK, you'd have separate hot and cold taps because historically the supply of those taps came separately. Now, certainly in modern homes, it's more usual to see a single mixer tap like this.
In the US, mixer taps like these are normal. One thing my American husband didn't like when he moved to the UK was how small he felt that the bathrooms were. To be fair, I was living in London at the time and my shower wasn't tall enough for me to stand upright in. I'm 5'10", so tall for a woman, but you know, there's plenty of people taller. He described this to me as a small bathroom, and to me this seemed like a pretty good size when I first came out, so I think that's one quite obvious difference between US and UK bathrooms. Now here we are in the bedroom. The first and probably the most obvious difference between US and UK bedrooms is that in the US, in order to actually be considered a bedroom in the first place, it must have one of these. A built-in closet. How fabulous is that? If it doesn't have a built-in closet, it can only be considered a den or maybe an office. And very often in the master bedroom or the master suite, it will be a walk-in closet. Just wonderful, something I dreamed about having when I was little.
In the UK, a lot of people would just have standalone wardrobes that can be put wherever you want in a room. When I moved here, I decided to have this one built in because it seems to save a lot of space. It goes all the way up to the top and down to the bottom. I certainly couldn't walk into it.
One thing that confused me for a long time was how Americans do bedding.
In the UK, we usually just have a single sheet called a duvet, which is put on at the bottom here. You fill this cover with the duvet and spread it all out like this. I feel like I'm on Blue Peter here. And you end up with a nice looking bed.
In America, this is called the comforter, which is a very cute word for it. But before we get there, there is another layer underneath called the top sheet. And I've asked a few Americans why it's there. Some say it's for extra warmth, some say it's for hygienic reasons, as their comforters often don't have comforter covers as our duvets do. And some look at me like they've genuinely never considered the question before. If you know why the top sheet is there, then let me know in the comments section below. I'd love to know.
And I'd just like to point out that this is Colin, who sits on my bed and likes it to be nice and comfortable. Don't you, Colin? Yeah.
My bedroom leads out onto the patio as we're on the ground floor. You'll notice the screen door, much like the screen windows, good for keeping the bugs out.
To get to my outdoor area, follow me.
One feature that many American apartments seem to have is this little room that comes off the patio or balcony, known as the shed. And there's a little space like that for extra storage. Ours also houses our hot water tank.
This flat has actually got 2 bedrooms. This second one is more of my office, notionally called a man cave. So it's got my computer, my record player, all my CDs, books and things. Lucy might be across the pond several thousand miles away, but there are plenty of pictures of her and her sister Katie in my office. One thing that you will find in plenty of UK homes is this, an extension lead with several plugs added into it, because we don't really seem to have too many plugs in our accommodation. This flat, being more modern, does have plenty, but I still have to use these.
Thank you very much to Dad for helping me out with this comparison today. If you want to see more of Dad, then check out his YouTube channel, John Atkins Lost Norwich, for some wonderful videos about his local area.
Thank you to Lucy for having me on the Brit Girls channel today. Please comment below on anything you may find interesting, confusing, complicated. And don't forget to subscribe to the Brit Girls channel.
See you next time. Bye!